The courtroom was cloaked in a heavy silence, broken only by the soft murmur of hushed whispers and the distant shuffle of papers. Faces around the room were taut with tension, some etched with disbelief, others masked behind carefully guarded expressions. The air felt thick, as if the walls themselves held their breath, waiting. Then a sharp, commanding bang of the gavel shattered the stillness, reverberating through the chamber like a thunderclap. All eyes turned toward the witness stand as George Clooney rose to take his place. His usually warm, charismatic face was now lined with solemnity, his jaw set firm, and his eyes carrying a weight few had seen before. When his voice broke the silence, it was steady yet heavy, each word measured, every syllable carrying the gravity of a secret long buried. The camera zoomed slowly, capturing the flicker of conflicted emotions in his gaze as he delivered a statement that stunned the room into silence. Moments later, a grainy, leaked audio began to play, filling the courtroom with a voice so raw and unexpected it sent ripples through everyone present. It was a revelation no one had anticipated, an unsettling glimpse behind the polished facade of fame and fortune, exposing a web of betrayal and hidden truths. As the chilling sounds echoed, a subtle unease settled deeper in the room, drawing everyone into a labyrinth of secrets they were only beginning to understand. George Clooney has long been seen as Hollywood's golden boy, the embodiment of charm, talent, and timeless appeal. From his early days as Dr. Doug Ross on ER to his commanding presence on the silver screen in films like Ocean's 11 and Michael Clayton, Clooney's career has been punctuated by accolades that only a handful achieve. Multiple Oscars and Golden Globes decorate his mantle, but it's not just the awards that have earned him admiration. Clooney has cultivated a public image that transcends acting, a principled, thoughtful man who uses his platform to champion humanitarian causes, speak out against injustice, and advocate for the vulnerable. His charisma is undeniable, a magnetic blend of wit, sincerity, and undeniable star power that commands attention without demanding it. The media has often painted Clooney as the voice of reason in the glittering chaos of Tinseltown. Headlines celebrate his commitment to ethical filmmaking, his outspoken stance on global crises, and his reputation as a steadfast friend and collaborator. In an industry known for its fickleness, Clooney's name is synonymous with integrity and class. Fans trust him not only as an entertainer, but as a figure whose words carry weight and whose actions reflect genuine conviction. He is for many the moral compass of a place often clouded by superficiality. This public persona stands in stark contrast to that of Sean "Diddy" Combs, the flamboyant mogul and music powerhouse whose larger-than-life persona has defined an entire generation of hip-hop and entertainment entrepreneurship. Diddy's image is one of bold ambition, flashy extravagance, and unyielding control over his empire. Where Clooney's presence is calm and measured, Diddy's is explosive and commanding. Both are icons in their own right, but the contrast sets a compelling stage. One man revered for restraint and principle, the other for bravado and dominance. It is against this backdrop that Clooney's testimony carries immense weight. When a figure so deeply trusted steps forward to reveal a hidden side of a fellow Titan, the public listens closely. The stakes are raised not just by the names involved, but by the reputations at risk and the truths waiting in the shadows. Clooney's voice, long a beacon of integrity, now illuminates a story that challenges the carefully curated images of power and success. The world is about to see a side of these figures that few ever imagined, a story woven with complexity, betrayal, and the unraveling of myths. Before George Clooney became a household name and a symbol of Hollywood elegance, his journey was one of steady, sometimes painstaking ascent. Born into a family with showbiz roots, Clooney's early years were spent navigating the often harsh realities of the entertainment world. His initial break came with roles on television sitcoms and dramas, where he honed his craft quietly, far from the red carpet glare. It was in these formative years, working on shows like The Facts of Life and Roseanne, that he learned the intricate dance of survival in an industry riddled with politics and power plays. Hollywood, with all its glitz, is also a labyrinth of unspoken rules and subtle coercions, a place where alliances could be as fragile as glass and favors often came with hidden costs. Behind Clooney's steady rise were moments rarely seen by the public. Subtle pressures from powerful figures who demanded loyalty and compliance in exchange for opportunity. Stories from those close to the actor suggest times when the line between professional camaraderie and manipulation blurred. Invitations to exclusive gatherings, whispered promises of breakthrough roles, and the ever-present shadow of paying your dues created an environment where vulnerability could be exploited. In this world, friendship was currency, and influence was the ultimate prize, often wielded as a tool to control and bend wills. It was during this period that Clooney first crossed paths with Sean Diddy Combs, not yet the global mogul he is today, but already carving a path through the music and entertainment landscape with relentless ambition. Their interactions, though limited, were shaped by the complex dynamics of two rising stars maneuvering for position in overlapping spheres of influence. While Clooney's ascent was rooted in acting and humanitarianism, Diddy's was a study in bold entrepreneurship and cultural domination. Yet beneath the surface, both men understood the delicate balance of power and the costs it demanded. Despite the polished exterior, Clooney projected, suave, confident, unshakable, there were cracks beneath the surface. The relentless pressure to maintain a flawless image masked deeper insecurities and compromises he had made to stay afloat. The demands of Hollywood required sacrifices, not just of time and privacy, but of personal boundaries. These early vulnerabilities, often hidden behind carefully crafted smiles and red carpet appearances, laid the groundwork for the darker challenges that would later surface. In the shadows of fame, the cost of success is sometimes paid in silence, and Clooney's story is no exception. The turning point in George Clooney's story came not on the bright stage of Hollywood premieres, but in a shadowed private room far from prying eyes. It was a meeting that at first seemed routine, a gathering with industry insiders, including Sean Diddy Combs, intended to discuss potential collaborations and shared ventures. But behind the veneer of professionalism, a calculated power play was unfolding. What Clooney thought would be a straightforward discussion soon twisted into a confrontation, layered with veiled threats and subtle coercion. The atmosphere shifted palpably as the lines between business and manipulation blurred. Diddy, wielding his growing influence not just in music, but across entertainment and business, held cards Clooney hadn't anticipated. It was during this encounter that Clooney began to understand the extent of the exploitation at play. The negotiations were laced with unspoken demands, favor exchanges that carried weight far beyond contracts. Clooney found himself cornered by insinuations that his career, reputation, and financial standing could suffer if he refused to comply. What felt like professional partnership morphed into an intricate web of blackmail, where silence was currency and trust was weaponized. Manipulation tactics surfaced like shadows in the night. Clooney was warned, indirectly but unmistakably, that damaging rumors could be spread, that allies might suddenly turn distant, and that key opportunities could vanish without explanation. The threat was not overt, but the message was clear: align or be isolated. This was not just business as usual. It was a high-stakes game where power was leveraged to control and loyalty was coerced through fear. The emotional toll was immense. Clooney, known for his composed and confident public demeanor, felt the crushing weight of secrets that could unravel everything he had built. The pressure to conform, to hide the truth, and to navigate a path that preserved his legacy while safeguarding his personal integrity became a suffocating burden. He was trapped in a silent battle, one fought not with guns or swords, but with whispered threats and unseen strings pulling at his life. Key moments during this period shattered the foundations of trust Clooney had once believed in. Relationships that had seemed genuine revealed their transactional nature. Allies turned into adversaries, and promises dissolved into veiled ultimatums. The betrayal was not sudden but a slow unraveling, each incident deepening the wounds and eroding the sense of security he had clung to. Clooney's world was tilting, the safe ground beneath him crumbling under the weight of deception. This dark chapter, long hidden from public view, now casts its long shadow over the courtroom where the battle unfolds. The seeds of conflict planted in that private room have grown into a storm of accusations and revelations. Clooney's testimony is not just a recounting of events, but the unveiling of a calculated campaign of control and betrayal. The courtroom drama that grips the world today is the inevitable eruption of the quiet torment he endured, an emotional reckoning that challenges the very foundations of power and trust within the glittering facade of fame. In the wake of betrayal and manipulation, George Clooney's once unshakable confidence began to fracture. Behind the scenes, far from the flashing cameras and adoring fans, he wrestled with a relentless internal struggle. Sleepless nights became a tormenting ritual as anxiety gnawed at his mind, feeding a growing storm of self-doubt. The man who had once been Hollywood's golden boy found himself trapped in a silent battle against fears that threatened to consume him entirely. Every whispered rumor, every furtive glance from former allies, deepened the isolation that wrapped around him like a suffocating shroud. Hollywood, that glittering kingdom of fame and favor, suddenly felt cold and distant. Friends and collaborators who once celebrated his success now kept a wary distance, afraid of the fallout that Clooney's predicament might bring. The walls he had built to protect himself began to crumble as opportunities slipped through his fingers. Roles disappeared, endorsements faded, and invitations ceased without explanation. His public silence was not born of choice, but necessity, a fragile shield to guard against further damage. Yet with every passing day, the weight of unspoken truths grew heavier. The toll on Clooney's mental health was profound and deeply personal. Those closest to him whispered of dark moments, episodes of depression where the world seemed to lose its color, bouts of anxiety that tightened like a noose, and the creeping shadows of trauma that left scars invisible to the outside world. It was a private war waged in the quiet spaces between public appearances, a struggle against an invisible enemy that threatened to dismantle the very core of his being. PTSD, often misunderstood in the glare of celebrity, took root in his psyche, a testament to the lasting damage wrought by betrayal and fear. Despite the carefully maintained facade of control and composure Clooney presented to the world, cracks began to show behind closed doors. Moments of near breakdown, the silent tears, the clenched fists, the hollow stares, revealed a man fighting to hold himself together amidst chaos. It was a relentless tug-of-war between vulnerability and strength, fear and resolve. Every public smile was a mask hiding a fragile heart, battered by unseen wounds. Yet it was within this crucible of pain and isolation that the seeds of transformation were planted. The very hardships that threatened to consume Clooney became the catalyst for a profound awakening. The decision to speak out, to break the silence that had held him captive for so long, was born from a place of courage forged in the depths of suffering. This moment of reckoning was not just about personal vindication. It was a declaration that truth, no matter how painful, must be heard. Clooney's journey through darkness would soon become a beacon, illuminating the path for others trapped in similar shadows. The turning point in George Clooney's long-held struggle came unexpectedly, triggered by the sudden emergence of damning evidence, a trove of leaked messages, covert recordings, and confidential documents that peeled back the layers of deception, cloaking the truth. These fragments of hidden conversations revealed the manipulative undercurrents that had shaped his professional and personal life, exposing the chilling tactics employed to silence him. As each piece surfaced, the weight of secrecy became unbearable, and the carefully maintained illusion began to crumble. In the quiet solitude of his private world, Clooney grappled with the daunting question, should he finally come forward? The buildup of tension was palpable, an agonizing internal debate between self-preservation and the moral imperative to expose wrongdoing. He knew that stepping into the spotlight with these revelations meant more than risking his reputation. It meant confronting powerful adversaries who would stop at nothing to protect their interests. Yet the truth, once confined to whispers and shadows, pressed relentlessly against the walls of his silence. The moment of undeniable clarity arrived like a storm breaking after a long drought. Clooney recognized that the damage being wrought in silence extended far beyond himself, affecting others caught in the web of betrayal and control. The urgency to act was overwhelming, a responsibility that transcended fear and personal consequence. The emotional weight of this decision was immense, burdened by years of concealment and the haunting question of whether justice could truly prevail. Behind closed doors, scenes of intense legal strategizing unfolded. Clooney placed his trust in a team of attorneys who meticulously pieced together the evidence, crafting a case that could withstand the formidable power of those implicated. These moments of planning were a crucible of hope and anxiety, as every word, every decision carried the potential to reshape not only the trajectory of the trial, but the course of Clooney's own life. Trust was carefully built and tested as the actor navigated the murky waters of legal battle and media scrutiny. Symbolically, Clooney's choice to break his silence after years of hiding was more than a personal act. It was a defiant stand against a culture of silence that thrives in the shadows of power. His testimony became a beacon, illuminating truths that many feared to confront. The narrative tension reached its crescendo as the secret, once buried deep beneath layers of deception, finally burst into the open. The world watched as the facade of untouchable celebrity was pierced by the piercing light of revelation, setting the stage for a courtroom drama charged with emotion, courage, and the relentless pursuit of justice. The courtroom was electric with anticipation the day George Clooney took the stand. The faint rustle of papers, the steady murmur of whispered conversations, and the rhythmic clicking of camera shutters filled the air, weaving a tense soundtrack to a drama that had captivated the world. Reporters jostled for position, their lenses flashing intermittently, capturing every nuanced expression as Clooney's figure emerged with quiet determination. The scent of polished wood mingled with the faint musk of anxiety, and even the faintest cough or creak of a chair seemed amplified in the hushed space. Clooney settled into the witness chair, his posture erect yet tinged with a vulnerability rarely seen. As he began to speak, his voice was calm, but heavy with the weight of years spent carrying secrets. "I never imagined I would be here, testifying against someone I once considered a peer," he confessed, the words hanging in the charged silence. He paused briefly, eyes flickering with a mixture of sorrow and resolve, before continuing. He recounted the betrayal in painstaking detail, the moments when trust was weaponized, the subtle manipulations that had gone unnoticed by the public eye. His narrative was punctuated by visible signs of emotion, a tightening of the jaw, a fleeting tremor in his hands, a steadying breath before revealing the most painful truths. The courtroom reacted in waves, soft gasps from the gallery, tense exchanges among legal teams, and the barely concealed disbelief of those loyal to Diddy. Members of Diddy's camp sat rigid, their faces a mask of denial, their whispered objections and pointed glances signaling the brewing storm behind the polished veneer. Attempts to discredit Clooney were swift and sharp, designed to undermine his credibility and paint the testimony as grievance-fueled exaggeration. But Clooney met each challenge with unwavering dignity. His composure never faltered. Instead, his quiet strength seemed to fill the room, turning hostility into a backdrop against which truth shone ever brighter. For Clooney, the testimony was more than legal obligation. It was a cathartic release, the shedding of a burden carried in silence for far too long. It marked a pivotal moment of reckoning, where the lines between victim and victor blurred in the pursuit of justice. As he stepped down from the stand, a profound stillness settled over the room, the echoes of his words lingering like a solemn promise that the hidden would no longer remain in the shadows. This was the day the world saw not just the man behind the star, but the courageous soul willing to confront the darkness to reclaim his truth. The moment George Clooney's testimony hit the public sphere, a media frenzy erupted with relentless force. News outlets scrambled to break the story, their headlines screaming revelations that shook the foundations of celebrity culture. Within hours, hashtags like #ClooneyTruth and #Diddy Trial dominated social media feeds, trending worldwide as millions tuned in to witness the unfolding drama. Clips of Clooney's poignant testimony were shared and reshared, sparking heated debates across platforms where truth and rumor collided in a chaotic storm of opinions. The public reaction was sharply divided. On one side stood Clooney's staunch supporters, loyal fans and advocates who hailed his courage and demanded accountability. They flooded timelines with messages of solidarity, praising his bravery in exposing a dark side of the entertainment industry long hidden from view. On the opposing front, skeptics and loyalists to Diddy questioned the motives behind the revelations, accusing Clooney of opportunism or exaggeration. This polarized landscape turned the trial into more than just a legal battle. It became a cultural flashpoint where narratives of power, trust and betrayal clashed publicly. Corporate sponsors and major brands closely associated with Diddy moved cautiously, many issuing carefully worded statements that distanced themselves from the controversy without overtly condemning their embattled partner. Some paused ongoing collaborations, signaling the delicate balance companies must maintain amid swirling scandals. Meanwhile, the celebrity world responded with a complex mix of silence, cryptic social media posts, and, in some rare cases, public declarations of support for Clooney. These reactions underscored the precariousness of alliances in an industry where reputation is currency and words can tip the scales. Social media became a battleground where outrage, sympathy, and speculation intertwined. Viral clips of the testimony, especially moments where Clooney's emotions broke through, were dissected frame by frame. Memes, opinion pieces, and reaction videos flooded feeds, amplifying the story beyond traditional news cycles. The court of public opinion was relentless, fueled by rumors and conflicting narratives that left many struggling to discern fact from fiction. Amid this whirlwind, Clooney's fan base rallied fiercely, transforming their admiration into advocacy. Online communities formed to support his truth-telling, sharing stories of similar experiences and demanding justice not only for him, but for all silenced by power. This groundswell of support became a powerful counterpoint to the chaos, a collective voice insisting that courage in the face of betrayal must be honored and that the shadows cast by fame should never obscure the light of truth. The journey through betrayal and courtroom battles came at a profound personal cost for George Clooney. Behind the public spectacle lay deep wounds, losses of trust, fractured relationships, and moments of painful solitude. Yet within this crucible of hardship, healing began to take root. Clooney emerged not just as a survivor, but as a man transformed, carrying the scars of his ordeal with a renewed sense of strength and clarity. The struggle had carved a path toward growth, illuminating facets of resilience and courage that had long been buried beneath the weight of silence. Legally, the battle remains complex. Some outcomes hinted at private settlements, discreet agreements reached behind closed doors, while other aspects of the case continue to unfold in the public eye, leaving verdicts pending and tensions simmering. Regardless of legal resolutions, the impact of Clooney's testimony reverberates beyond courtrooms, challenging industry norms and inspiring conversations about accountability and power dynamics in entertainment and beyond. With the storm gradually settling, Clooney found a renewed sense of purpose. Whether through quiet advocacy for those silenced or by reclaiming his privacy from the invasive glare of media scrutiny, he redefined what it meant to wield influence with integrity. His voice, once muffled by fear and circumstance, now carries the weight of experience and the promise of change. The closing scene lingers, Clooney stepping away from the courthouse as dusk paints the sky in hues of fading gold and deepening shadow. His figure moves steadily forward, silhouetted against the soft twilight. A man walking out of darkness, yet shaped by it. The final words resonate, echoing in the stillness. In the shadow of betrayal, the light of truth burns fiercest. This haunting conclusion leaves viewers suspended between hope and uncertainty, grappling with enduring questions about the fragile nature of power, the cost of trust, and the courage it takes to confront the darkest corners of fame. The story is far from over. Its echoes will linger, challenging us all to look beyond the surface and seek the truths hidden beneath.